Hello everyone and welcome back to another math video. Today we're going to be talking about how do you solve a quadratic equation by factoring, similar to the problems that you see up on the screen here. Just a reminder, this is the normal version. If you want the speedrun version where we go through it pretty quickly, I'll link that in the description below. For your Ricasso Recap, you should already know how to factor quadratics, factoring by grouping, perfect square trinomials. You should also know how to solve equations, moving stuff from one side to the other. If you want refreshers on any of these topics, I'll link videos in the description below. Please go watch those before you start this lesson. All right, new lesson starts now. Here we go. So the new part for today is we've learned how to do this part. What about this new equals 0 part? So for now, we're going to ignore the equals 0 and let's factor this like we've been doing for many lessons now. And so I'm going to quickly show the work for that. Okay, so here is the work. Again, we should know how to do this, factoring by grouping, a times c add to b, yada, yada, yada. So we get to here. We should be comfortable getting to here. The new part is we're going to put this equals 0 at the end. And now what happens is we're going to split this into two different problems. The first problem is the first parentheses equals 0. The second problem is 2g plus 1 equals 0. And now we should know how to solve these one-step equations. And when you have solved those equations, you come up with two solutions. And these are both solutions for the quadratic. Okay, some might call it roots, solutions, anything along those lines. We have just found it for this quadratic. Or you might hear it called zeros, but negative 13, negative 1/2, these are our two solutions. And if you were to graph this, okay, if you were to graph this on a graph, these would be the x-intercepts. Where does this hit the x-axis? So here is a picture of the graph, right? Here are the x-intercepts that we just found. Negative 1/2, negative 13. All right, here's our cool clock for today, which means that it's time for you to practice what you just learned. Go ahead and pause the video and try these two problems on your own. And when you're ready, you can unpause the video and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem, here is the work. I kind of ran out of room at the bottom, but I just took my two equations and put them over here. So your final answer should have been 5 and negative 2. And for the second problem, hopefully we realize this is a perfect square trinomial. So there's a shortcut to factoring here. You don't have to do a times c add to b. You could do a times c add to b, but it takes a little bit longer. The shortcut gets us there a little faster. So perfect square trinomial gives us this. And then notice these parentheses are exactly the same. Don't need to do the problem twice, just one of them equals 0 and solve, you get u equals 1/3 final answer. Now for this problem, you will notice that this does not equal 0. Okay, if you look back at the problems we just did, all of them have equal 0 on them. So we need to make this equal 0. You've got two options. One, you could move the 3x over here and work the problem from there, or you could move both of these over here. I like to have this positive if I can, the number in front of the x squared positive if I can. I find that a little bit easier for factoring. So I'm going to do plus 7x squared and minus 4 to move it over. So now, when I move everything over, I have 7x squared plus 3x minus 4 equals 0. Okay, and I put it in standard form, right, because that's step 1. And now we should know how to factor from here. And now once we factored, do your split, and you get your two final answers. Okay, so the only new part here was if it doesn't equal 0 at the very beginning of the problem, you need to move stuff around until it equals 0. All right, time to practice. Go ahead and pause the video, try these two on your own. When you're ready, unpause and we'll check your answers. Okay, now that you've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem, once you rearranged it, again, I made the squared term positive. Again, this is a perfect square trinomial, so I used the shortcut, should have gotten n equals 10. And for the second problem, hopefully you realize that you can factor 9 out at the beginning, okay? And we haven't talked about what do I do with it at the end. The answer is nothing. Just do your normal split, ignore the number in the front. And so your final answer should have been s equals 5, s equals positive 1. Okay, for this last type of problem, let's look at this. Is it in standard form? Check. Is there a greatest common factor? There is a greatest common factor. And here it's a y. So we'll factor out the y. We get 29y plus 31 equals 0. And now, the good news is we're pretty much done, because you can think of this as two different parentheses, right? This is y times. So we're just going to do our split right away. So we're going to get y equals 0, and we're going to get 29y plus 31 equals 0. This one you got to solve. When you do, you will get negative 31 over 29. So you have two answers, y equals 0, y equals negative 31 over 29. So if you see something with two terms that isn't a difference of squares, okay, if you can do a greatest common factor, might make the problem a little easier. All right, time to practice. Go ahead and pause the video, try these two on your own. When you're ready, unpause and we'll check your answers. Okay, now they've had time to work these problems, let's check your solutions. Okay, for the first problem here is the work and final answers. And for the second problem here is the work and final answers. All right, that's it for today. I hope you all have a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night.